This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Let's mention too, this is the second TLC pay-per-view. It was introduced the year prior. You and I've been pretty critical about, sort of gimmick match shows like a Hell in a Cell show where we don't necessarily have a feud that, the story has dictated that it must be settled in a Hell in a Cell. Now we've got a pay-per-view built around the Hell in a Cell concept, and we've got to find a way to make a story end with a Hell in a Cell, or maybe not even end. Maybe it isn't the final chapter. Maybe it's just somewhere in the middle, which does go against conventional wisdom. When you're booking sort of old school wrestling, you're going to end it in a cage, not start or somewhere in the middle. But TLC, I guess, is the latest, evolution of that. Over time, fans became enamored with this concept, and it became a series of car crashes and can you top this and spectacular stunts. But instead of it being reserved for a special match at WrestleMania, now it's its own pay-per-view, and there's going to be multiple tables, ladders, or chair matches. You and I haven't talked about this, but for some reason I get the impression this is probably not something you were a big fan of.
No, because you limit the talent, you limit the creativity of the producer. And the fact is you can only hit somebody with a chair so many ways. Mm-hmm. Can only climb a ladder so many ways. Table, you go through a table and break it. Okay, it's broken. And when you filter all that stuff, other than just having one and maybe two complete and total TLC matches, sometimes you can bookend them if you have a hot angle and have two. But, a TLC match, when it was done by the right guys, was so spectacular and so awe-inspired by the talent. If you really built the show just with normal matches and you had one TLC, but it was, devote an hour to it, entrances up to exits, and let those guys have full reign of everything that night. It's the only time you saw somebody get hit with a chair or put through a table or tipped off of a ladder. It could stand alone as a single main event and make that brand special. But when you start breaking it up and you start having some kind of gimmick in every match, by the end of the night, pretty good chance you've seen it. You've seen everything you could possibly do. And there's some very creative guys that have been in those TLC matches. And then there's the danger factor for me, which was always something to consider.
Yeah, it's weird because I think as a kid, like the first time I saw the TLC match, I thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen and loved it. Later, I get a little older, and maybe it's because I get a little closer and have a little more of an understanding about the wrestling business. I still don't know shit, but just saying I get a little more familiar with the characters within it. And now I go back and I watch those and I think, man, I wish they wouldn't have done that. If that could have went, a little wrong here or a little wrong there, we had disaster on our hands. When I know that the company is always ready. But sometimes when you really turn up the risk in concept matches like this, it feels like there would be a need for perhaps even more emergency personnel on hand. Are you guys ready, with ambulances and the whole deal in case something bad happens here, someone can get immediate attention?
Yeah, well, they always, for every event, you always have EMTs, and you have a doctor, and you have a trainer. I couldn't complain about the staffing where that's concerned, because in my day, you didn't even get a roll of tape.
Right.
So you're talking about the dinosaur age to today. And back then, and they always had the right personnel there. But the problem is, when you have an injury in one of those matches, or any match for that matter, they're just putting out a fire. It's already occurred. And injuries are going to happen. I've seen guys, Conrad, when a match was over, drop off the apron just to leave and blow their knee out.
Right.
Break their ankle. Bad injury. and it's just a fluke deal, and it's just accidental. And you can do a lot of things to a chair. It's still a metal chair.
Yeah.
When a ladder breaks, it's still a metal steel ladder, and things break and shatter and go different ways. And when they tip over, if they slip or if they're faulty construction, you don't know it till it's too late. And if the audience knew, you got to be out there and watch these things develop, and see things starting to get put together, and just grit your teeth and go, God, I hope that ladder don't move. I hope the guys aren't sweaty. It's just, there's a lot of things that can go south on one of those matches.
Let's get to the show. You watched it this week for the first time in a long time. We just talked about everything that's bad on the show as we build the go home edition of Raw, but man, fans loved it. The readers of the Wrestling Observer gave this show 89.8% thumbs up, only 1.5% thumbs down, and just 8.8% thumbs in the middle. As I said, you watched it for the first time in 10 freaking years. What'd you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle?
Thumbs up. I mean, I'm a fan of the talent. And when you ask a guy to get hit 8 times with a chair, you're asking him to do something. And I think, that the performance out of all the talent was, they did their very best under tough situations, especially as you get later in the night, and the audience has seen virtually everything that's going to happen in your match in some form or, fashion. And you can never fault that crew, which is, was one of my downfalls. I was always pulling for the talent, because they could take a bad idea or a bad situation, and at least between myself and them and whoever their producer was, they would pull the very best performance out of the circumstances that they had. And, like I said, the TLC matches alone, just one of them is enough to leave you breathtaking and just exhausted from watching one of those. To filter all those weapons throughout the show is just, it's a little bit of overkill.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.